Hello, this is Spartan Commander, and this is a 410th Rome Total War Brotherhood game that I've put onto YouTube. Straight away you'll see this is fought on a custom map, and it was hosted by Brotherhood member Crypto. So it should be an interesting one to watch, as I want to concentrate on a so-called lesser 31k faction. It'll be interesting to see how well it does during the course of the battle. Okay, our first teammate is Brotherhood member Dionysos, who has bought the Macedon faction. Dionysos has got 9 pikes, 5 archers and 6 cavalry. Our next teammate is Brotherhood member Bark, who has bought the Rome Scipii faction, and Bark has got 11 infantry, 5 maxed archers and 4 cavalry. Okay, so he's got 5 archers there that have got maximum upgrades. As you can see there, 3 experience stripes, gold shield, gold attack. So make no mistake, those archers are extremely serious. It'll be interesting to see how well they do during the course of the battle. Our third teammate is myself, Spartan Commander, who has unusually bought the Britannia faction. I'm going to talk about this army and this faction a little bit later, okay? And our last teammate is Brotherhood member Steve Longshanks, who has bought the Greek Cities faction. As a lot of you will know, Steve has got very good with the Greek Cities factions in the last few months. This is his standard army there. I think it's 12 Spartans and 4 archers. You can see there he's got 7 upgrades on most of his Spartans, so that's an experience stripe, gold shield, gold attack. Now remember, those Spartans have got 2 hit points, excellent specifications, excellent morale, but you put an experience stripe on them and that kind of makes them super elite. If you notice here in our team, we've got Macedon, Rome, Britannia and Greek cities. Okay, at this stage of the battle I thought we'd have a look at my Britannia army here. When I first started to play Rome Total War, for the first 3 months I played with Greek cities, and that's why I'm called Spartan Commander. But after that I went on to playing with Britannia for a couple of months, and I had about, I think it was 5 experimental armies, and this is the army that I've decided that I will use now for maybe about 12 or 13 years. I've got 9 of chosen infantry, chosen swordsmen there, and I've got 5 head hurlers and 6 chariots. Okay, so 9 infantry, 5 head hurlers and 6 chariots. If you see new Britannia armies, modern Britannia armies, you'll see that they've got about 12 or 14 head hurlers and 6 maxed chariots. Okay, that's the modern Britannia army, but this is a very old-fashioned, old-school, balanced Britannia army. And it'll be interesting to see if this 13 or 14-year-old army can do very good on the modern-day battlefield against good players. Should be an interesting to watch. At this stage of the battle I thought we'd have a look at Steve's formation and army here. Now, he's tried several formations since he's been playing with Greek cities, but this seems to be his most favoured one. Do you notice his 2 forward units have just got gold shield, gold attack on? They're the ones that's going to make the first contact with the enemy, the ones that's going to get the pilot hits. But his other 10 units behind those are the ones with the 7 upgrades on, with the experience stripe on, gold shield, gold attack. Be interesting to see how well this formation does during the course of the battle. And here is the other team. We have Brotherhood member Crypto, the host of this map, and he has got 8 archers, he's got 6 cavalry, 3 Knight Raiders and 3 Berserkers. Okay, there's his cavalry there. Now he's got mixed upgrades. 4 of them are fully upgraded, 3 experience stripes, gold shield, gold attack, and 2 of them have got 8 upgrades on, 2 stripes, gold shield, gold attack. So that cavalry is extremely serious cavalry that he's got there, very good specifications. But if you notice here, he's only got 6 infantry. Okay, as I say, he's got Knight Raiders here. Okay, very good infantry in their own right. And he's got 3 Berserkers. Now, the fear factor that all these units bring make these real good shock troops. Okay, yeah, he's only got 6 infantry, but every one of those units there sap the morale of enemy troops, making them more susceptible to routing, and used in coordination with their cavalry and allies' infantry and cavalry, these are going to be very effective shock troops. Okay, can you imagine sending those in with all the fear factor that those troops have got there, lowering the morale of enemy troops, making them more susceptible to routing, plus the enemy being shot by archers, all those archers, and those cavalry hitting as well. As I say, you could be looking at battle-winning troops there. Be interested to see how well it does during the course of the battle. Their next teammate is Brotherhood member JGP, who has bought the SBQR faction. He's just got 11 infantry, 3 archers, and 6 cavalry. Their next teammate is Brotherhood member Mad King, who's bought the Carthage faction. Now he's just got 20 units of Sacred Band Spearmen. No archers, no cavalry, just 20 units of Sacred Band Spearmen. And that is some serious kind of spear power there. And their last teammate is RTW player Magic Star, who has bought the Rome SPQR faction, and he's got 12 infantry, 2 archers and 6 cavalry. So there's the enemy team there. Also a diverse team, you see, with Germania, Carthage and Rome. I say it should be a great battle for you to watch, and I hope you enjoy it. Okay, at this very, very early stage of the battle here, you can see Dionysus is moving forward. Now, we know Dionysus is an extremely aggressive attacking player. He likes to take the battle to the enemy, and if you notice, he's moving forward straight away now. Now, his archers outnumber the enemy SPQR archers here, so that's why he's moving forward now with his archers and his cavalry. Do you notice he's got his cavalry in open order so that they can kind of hoover up enemy archers quite easily there by having such a wide formation. Plus also, of course, his Macedon Cretan archers there be shooting those SPQR archers up pretty bad as well. But you can see Dionysus moving forward here, as I say, very attacking, looking like he wants to take the battle to the enemy. Let's just pause again for a second. Right, as you can see here, running forward towards the SPQR enemy army there. But look how far away he is from his allies. Now, you know we've talked about isolation and being exposed there. Now, he could be a little bit isolated and exposed. Now, the enemy Carthage Sacred Band General has spotted this and is running his 20 units of Sacred Band over to that flank, looking to maybe, and his SPQR ally attacks as well. This Carthage Sacred Band could cut off reinforcements getting to our Macedon ally, as well as maybe attacking our Macedon ally as well. So as I say, Dionysus there is way, way, way away from his allies, and the enemy have seen this and are starting to move towards him. Okay, so I hope his battlefield awareness here comes into play, and he can see that that Carthage Sacred Band is moving over to cut him off from his allies. If he keeps moving forward, the more forward he moves, the more exposed and isolated he's going to be. Make no mistake there, the Carthage general knows exactly what he's doing by moving his troops over there. Meanwhile, Bark has moved his Scipii cavalry over here to help our Macedon ally, and between them they're doing very well at routing a lot of that enemy SPQR cavalry there. But as I say, you can see our Macedon ally there still aggressively moving forward towards those SPQR troops, but he looks like he could be cut off by the Carthage Sacred Band General there. And if that Carthage Sacred Band cuts him off, we can't reach him with reinforcements, and the Carthage Sacred Band Spearmen could attack him as well. And we know Carthage punches above its weight when it comes to the big pike factions there. So Dionysus there is in a very exposed position, and a bit of an isolated position as well there. Okay, so here we are here, and look at the distance we are away from Dionysus, his Macedonians. Okay, and look at the Carthage Sacred Band. They're going to get in between us and him, and he could well be cut off over there on that left flank. Now, we always talk about aggression, attacking all the time, but sometimes you can get isolated if you do that, as you can see here. And you can see JGP's SPQR army moving towards us. He would like to engage us and probably cut us off from reaching our Macedonian ally there. Okay. Can you see Dionysus still moving forward towards the SPQR troops there, even though he surely must be aware now that he's moving into an even more dangerous position, with Carthage moving up on his flank to cut him off from his allies. Okay, so as I say, our Macedonian ally here is in a very, very, should we say, precarious situation here. You've got Germania cavalry coming up here to join forces with his SPQR cavalry against our Scipii and Macedon allies cavalry there. Okay, you can see Dionysus moving his cavalry back out of harm's way, and he's moving his pikemen away from the enemy as much as he can. Okay, now if he keeps moving, he's going to get there. He's going to get to the red line. Okay. Now, newer players to Rome Total War, you might not know this, okay, but if any of your units run over that red line, they can never rally. So if one of your units with 100 men in, kind of routed, and it goes over that red line, it can never come back. So fighting near the red line is not really advisable, okay, because like I say, any of your units that rout, they go over that red line, they can never come back. You never get any rallying troops, okay. But at the moment, that's all he can do is try and get away from the enemy, trying to buy himself time for us to manage to get up to him maybe. But he's in such an isolated, exposed position there that and with that Carthage sacred band cutting any chance of any of us getting up to him there, he is in a, as I say, a very precarious situation there. Okay, so meanwhile down here on our right flank here, you can see JGP has moved his infantry over there, maybe with a view to engage Steve's Greek cities. And Steve's going to oblige her. As we know, Steve, since he's been playing Greek cities, very aggressive with his Spartans. Right, but he walks into a hail of pilers there thrown by JGP's urban cohorts. You guys like raining pilers onto Steve's units there, but with those 2 hit points, remember that they kind of lose less men with those 2 hit points. So okay, so there you go. You can see Steve there moving his Greek city units into the SPQR troops there. Those Germania archers are shooting into us all the time. You can see that we're moving over there. But as I say, Dionysus here is right up near the red line here, and it looks like with the enemy SPQR infantry moving towards him and 20 units of Sacred Band spearmen, which we know punch above their weights when they fight the big 120-man pike units there, plus that red line. When he loses any of his troops at all, they're going to run over that red line, and he's got no chance of any rallied troops coming back to the battlefield. Okay, so basically our Macedonian ally has now been cut off. But say Steve moving here towards the enemy SPQR troops. I think what we're thinking about doing here is, you know, I don't think we're going to be able to get up to Dionysus. He's just too cut off from us now. So I think what we're going to look to do is try and take out these enemy armies down here. This enemy SPQR army and the Germania army if we can. Okay, remember these archer warband, very effective, very efficient archers shooting into us all the time. They'll be targeting my head hurlers as much as they can, so I want to try and keep my infantry and head hurlers out of range of those Germania archers if I can. That's why if you notice I'm pulling back a little bit. I'm using my chariots to take out enemy units where I can, but both my infantry and head hurlers are susceptible to archer damage, so I'm trying to keep them out of range of those 8 Germanic archer units there. Okay, as you can see, our Macedon allies trying to pull back from the danger of that double team of Carthage and SPQR. He's moving his cavalry, trying to move his cavalry out of the way there. But as it seems at the moment, he is a little bit cut off up there. Okay, Steve has managed to rout some of those SPQR units. He's also managed to rout some of those Germanic archer units as well. If you notice, I'm bringing my chariots in here to help with the archer units. But as you can see here, the Germanic general is now pulling his units back away from Steve's Greek city units and my chariots. But we're managing still to rout some of those archer units there. Can you see a berserker unit? Can you see Crypto's launched a berserker unit at us there? Right, can you see Steve running forward, my chariots moving towards the Germanic army there? And don't forget, the SPQR, enemy SPQR army is now attacking Bark Scipii infantry. Plus, you can see that Germanic troops there, those shock troops moving towards our Scipii ally there as well. But if you notice here, can you see that berserker unit there charging into us now? He's isolated that berserker unit, and it wouldn't surprise me if it routed with distraught by enemy numbers, is what I'm thinking there. There you go. Right, can you see that berserker unit wasn't even activated? But he ran towards us and he was distraught by enemy numbers, and he is now routed. Now you don't see a berserker unit do that very often, but it's just so distraught by the enemy numbers around it that it's got so scared that it is now routed. So that's a very, very powerful unit that's been routed before it could even be activated. So that's good for our team. Meanwhile over here, don't forget the enemy SPQR and the Germanic army here are attacking our Scipii ally. Those shock troops there, if you notice, a lot of all of Bark's infantry will be saying intimidated by nearby enemy troops there, lowering their morale. But all the time he's got those well upgraded, fully upgraded archers shooting into those Germanic troops. Now remember, all barbarian troops are extremely susceptible to missile damage, and with those units, those fully upgraded archer units in close formation there, the impact of those arrows on those enemy troops would be phenomenal. And it wouldn't surprise me if those Germanic troops started to rout quite quickly there, with the amount of arrows plus pilers being thrown into them as well. And that a lot of those Germanic shock troops there are going to go. Right, can you see those fully upgraded Germanic cavalry charging, those Gothic cavalry charging in? And here they come, get ready. Bang! As they smash into those Scipio troops there. What an impact those cavalry have had. Kind of with those berserkers in there lowering the morale of those Scipio troops, plus that cavalry hit as well. It wouldn't surprise me if most of those Scipio troops were routed or severely damaged there. Okay, but don't forget those other Scipio units there stood behind will be throwing pilers into that cavalry. If you notice here, some of JGP's units, he's now running back up the field there to join his teammates fighting Macedon. Let's see how our Macedon allies doing here at the moment. Okay, you can see he's being fiercely engaged by those 20 units of a Sacred Band, Spearmen, plus those SBQR units like that are going to get round the flank and get behind him there. Okay, there's already SBQR cavalry in behind him. So it looks like our Macedon ally there, he's still holding on pretty good there. I thought he would have routed by now, but I should imagine it'll only be a matter of time. So as you can see here, a lot of Barks units, I think all those units there, maybe one got away, but all the rest of those units that were hit were routed. Don't forget that Germanic cavalry would have been piloted and would having those arrows from those archers there shooting straight at them, causing them loads of casualties. There's that one berserker unit left. If you go in there, you can sometimes see those berserkers twirling around in a circle, smashing enemy infantry up in the air. You can see them going round in circles there, hitting them up in the air there. Can you see? That's how powerful those units are, but they're just going to be engulfed by our troops there, especially the Greek cities. There you are. They died to a man. They didn't rout. They just were all killed. Okay, so we're about to move into stage 2 of the battle here. We've managed to take out most of JGP's SBQR army and most of the Germanic army here. If you notice my chariots, I've been moving around the battlefield trying to target loose enemy units there, trying to take them out. But as I say, phase 2 of the battle will be starting soon. Right, can you see here all these SBQR troops now are going to get in behind, I think, our Macedonian ally. Hammer and Anvil attack there with those massive loads of 20 Sacred Band spearmen attacking his front, and those SBQR infantry got in behind him there. Probably go for his general, that's what I think I would go for there. As you can see there, yeah, the Macedon general's routed now. It wouldn't surprise me if the rest of his units chain routed after that. As you can see, most of them are. I think there's one Macedon unit left there. Can you see that one brave Macedonian unit there being engulfed by SBQR troops? I wonder how long he's going to last until he actually decides to rout there. Distraught over enemy numbers and tired as well, so that unit's, I'm afraid, not going to last. There you go, that's routed as well there. The last brave Macedonian unit's just routed. Okay, so at this stage of the battle, all of the Macedon troops have now been routed. Okay, so after a fierce fight, all our Macedonian ally has now been routed, and we're going to go into phase 2 of the battle. Okay, where our victorious troops are going to move up the battlefield here towards the victorious enemy troops there. Okay, so we've taken out most of SBQR army and most of the Germanic army. Can you see I'm surrounded a Testudo unit with my chariots? That SBQR units and see those guys get thrown up into the air there with the impact of those chariots there. So anyway, we've, as I say, we've taken out most of the SBQR army that was down here, and we've taken out most of the Germanic army that was here, if not all of them. So now we need to engage these victorious enemy troops, and they need to engage us. Steve here, if you notice, most of his units are pretty well intact. He hasn't seemed to have lost that many men from his units there. So he's going to be the cutting edge. He's going to be the hard edge of our attack, if you like. He's the one that's going to engage them first, followed by Bark. Don't forget, my Britannia troops here, they're extremely susceptible to any kind of missile damage. So I've still got to keep them at the back and move them around tactically as much as I can to help my allies out. As you can see here, as I say, Steve's army here is going to be our cutting edge. He's going to be the hard edge of our attack. He's going to move forward into the enemy lines. But if you count here, you'll see that Mad King has still got 20 of his units out of 20 units left. Yes, some of them are battle damaged, all of them probably a bit battle damaged, but he's still got 20 Carthage Sacred Band units ready to try and counter Steve when Steve advances. So as I say, this is going to be a really I think it's going to be an extremely close battle here, because 20 units of spearmen against our our Greek cities allies. That's a heck of a lot for our Greek city allies to deal with. If you notice here, I'm walking my chariots over on that right flank. They're very tired, and as we know, when they get very tired or exhausted, troops battle efficiency drops off the edge of a cliff. Okay, their morale will be low, and they don't fight all that well when they get exhausted or very tired. I've been looking to take them over here, to charge into the flank of those SBQR troops when we attack them. So that's what I'm looking to do with my chariots on that flank. But here you can see, as I say, I think Steve's going to go in first, straight into those SBQR troops, and Bark will attack on the flank, backed up by my troops. I say phase 2 is just going to be as interesting as phase 1. Okay, at this stage of the battle, can you see my chariots over on our right flank? And can you see Mad King moving units over towards their left flank there to counter my chariots? Now remember that my chariots and my infantry would die quickly on spears. And he's keeping the bulk of his army there to face Steve's Greek city units. So by moving those Carthage Sacred Band units over to that flank, that's basically blocked me from attacking with my chariots, because make no mistake, my chariots would die quickly on those spears. So he is then a good tactical move there. See, what I was planning Steve to hit those SBQR troops, and then I was going to bring my chariots in with the shock, and morale lowering fear factor there to rout them. But I won't be able to do that now with those spearmen. I think Bark is going to probably attack these SBQR troops here. But as I say, I've got my chariots on that flank, and I need to get my chariots, I think, onto the other flank now, because I definitely don't want to charge in with those Carthage Sacred Band spearmen there. Let's just pause the game for a second. So as you can see here, Steve's moved forward. As I say, he's going to be the cutting edge of our attack with his Greek city Spartans with those massive upgrades on. He's going to move forward and engage those troops there. And as I say, I was going to bring my chariots in there with their fear factor and attacking specifications, smashing to the flank of those troops there, hoping to rout them. But with those with those Carthage Sacred Band spearmen there, I won't be able to do that now. Okay, so it'll be interesting to see if Steve is still going to attack, bearing in mind that I can't do that with my chariots. Okay, and you can see the Carthage Sacred Band main bulk of his army there moving forward there to neutralise and engage Steve's Greek city units. Okay, you can see the enemy SBQ or JGP bringing his army over there, which I think Bark is going to attack. So there you go. Alright, you can see Steve now moving his infantry forward. Let's pause the game for a second. So I need to get my chariots away from those Carthage Sacred Band. Alright, I need to get them onto that other flank there, where there's no Sacred Band at all, where I can go into the flank of those enemy SBQR troops with my infantry and Bark's infantry attacking the front of them there. Okay, so that's what I need to do, get my chariots over to that other flank there, away from those Carthage Sacred Band. Okay, so here's Steve here now. I got the impression he's going to go in hard and fast with his Greek cities. He will have pillars thrown into him, but of course with his 2 hit points, that will cause less casualties to his units than it does to other units there. You can see Bark moving forward here, ready to take on the SBQR unit, and you can see my chariots starting to move towards the other flank. Okay. Right, so here you are. You can see Steve moving forward there towards the enemy there. He wants to engage and hold them there, allowing Bark and myself maybe to do damage to the other teams there. Right, can you see Steve's walked into a blizzard of pillars there. A blizzard of pillars hitting his troops. Can you see one of his units is routed already? You notice they're distraught by enemy numbers. Okay, all Steve's infantry are now distraught by enemy numbers. Just pause the game for a second. So, can you see all the enemy numbers there are making his troops distraught, which means their morale will lower. Plus, we've got a Night Raider unit in there as well, which would be also sapping the morale of his troops. So don't make no mistake, his Greek cities, even with excellent morale, those units are very susceptible and likely to rout. Okay, with all that, those distraught from enemy numbers. Right, you can see I'm bringing my chariots over there. I'm moving my infantry over to this flank here to support Bark. Okay, but as I say, with all of Steve's troops saying distraught by enemy numbers, plus that morale sapping Germania unit there as well, Steve's troops are extremely ready to almost rout. You notice here I'm taking my head herders over there to try and support Steve by throwing loads of armor piercing and morale sapping heads into the enemy. But Steve's troops here are being engulfed by Carthage and SBQR troops there. As you can see, he's holding well, he's pinning and holding those troops, but can you see those SBQR troops probably going to come in and attack my head herders and get into the rear of Steve's Greek city units there. Okay, you can see Bark attacking with his Scipii units there, and I'm moving my Britannia, a chosen swordsman, over there to engage the enemy SBQR troops. Okay, I've got my chariots on that flank now, which is what I wanted to do. They're very tired, so their battle proficiency is not going to be very good, but I'm just hoping that their morale sapping qualities will do a lot of damage to the enemy troops there. Right, you can see my Britannia chosen swordsmen are taking a lot of pilers there, as the enemy troops are throwing loads of pilers into my engaged troops. Let's say you got a couple of units of Bark's units there as well. You can see he's sending over one of his units to help support my head herders there against those SBQR units. Let's say I've done War Cry on my chosen swordsman that enhances their attack specifications. Remember, when you press the War Cry button, that does enhance, as I say, the attacking specifications, and my chariots are now hitting them. Bang! They smash into the side and rear of those SBQR troops. Make no mistake, those chariots will be sapping the morale of enemy troops there, which is just what I want them to do. And I'm hoping to help Bark here and my infantry. Right, let's just pause again for a second. Okay, well, you can see here with my chariots there and my chosen swordsmen there attacking those SBQR troops with the morale sapping chariots, plus the attack specifications being enhanced by War Cry of my infantry, doing quite well. But our Greek city ally has now been completely routed. Okay, after a fierce holding fight there, which was Steve was trying to keep and hold as many enemy troops as he can, his whole army now has been routed. Okay, and the enemy troops now will look to roll us up from right to left. Make no mistake about that. Those troops will now have good morale, seeing our troops routing, and they will look to roll us up from right to left. You can see Bark facing 3 SBQR units there. As I say, I've got my chariots and infantry deeply involved in this battle against these SBQR units. I'd like to rout that SBQR general if I could. See that SBQR general there is in Testudo. I'd like to take him out, obviously, to lower the morale of enemy troops. As you can see there, my chariots are charging back in there into the rear of those engaged SBQR troops there. You see a lot of those SBQR units starting to rout there. You see some of the enemy SBQR infantry be thrown up into the air there by the chariot hit. As I say, I'm pressing forward War Cry with my chosen swordsman and charging them forward. Every time War Cry runs out, I hit War Cry again and charge them forward straight into the enemy troops. As I say, remember, the War Cry enhances their attacking specifications. Okay, we've managed to rout that SBQR unit, that general unit there, which we're happy about. Bark has routed several of the SBQR units as well. Okay then, right, can you see my Britannia chosen swordsmen are really pushing forward and really using them aggressively against those SBQR troops, hitting War Cry and advance. Let's just pause again for a second. Right, can you see there's just 2 men left in that chariot unit there? Okay, now I could charge them into the enemy units there and they die really quickly, but why would I want to do that when I'm still getting the fear factor from 2 men in that unit? As long as I kept them just hanging around, 1-2-man unit there, just hanging around by those SBQR units, that unit would be lowering the morale of the SBQR troops all the time, helping to rout those units. So remember, even if you've got 2 men left in a chariot unit, don't charge them in, just keep them there, lowering the morale of enemy troops, hoping that you'll be able to rout them. But there's a lot of enemy Carthage Sacred Band moving towards my infantry now, which is not very good for my Britannia infantry. As I say, barbarian troops aren't very good against spearmen there. But I'm going to keep them fighting. I'm hoping that the chariots that I've got here, lowering the morale of those Carthage Sacred Band troops, is going to help me. Right, can you see I'm charging those chariots in again on the SBQR general, and bang, as those chariots smash in there, routing that SBQR general on impact. Did you see that? That SBQR general was routed as soon as those chariots hit. He had about 50 odd men in that unit, but that's the fear factor that chariots bring, you see. And you can see a lot of the enemy infantry starting to rout now. As I say, I'm hitting War Cry with my chosen swordsman time after time and charging them into the enemy troops there. And as I say, I've got the chariots close by, lowering the morale of enemy troops. as I say, sapping the morale of those enemy troops are making them more susceptible to routing. So you see, with chariots, you don't just need to keep charging in all the time, just keep them hanging around the battlefield, lowering the morale of enemy troops, and just charge in when you feel that you need to. Okay, so there's just a Carthage Sacred Band General here that we're attacking. Be interesting to see how long he lasts now. You see you see some Greek city units, some of Steve's Greek city units have now rallied and come back into the fray. And there's that one Carthage unit there we've just routed. I think there's just one more Carthage unit there left there. I think my Britannia chosen swordsmen have taken out at least 2 of the enemy generals, which is pretty good, I think, for a so-called lesser 31k faction. As I say, if you use your barbarian factions in good coordination with your allies, then they can be extremely effective. Okay, that one Carthage Sacred Band unit held well there, and finally broken. And we've managed to go on and win this battle. I think those 2 rallied Carthage units there will be distraught by enemy numbers, frightened by chariots, let's say, distraught by enemy numbers, and they'll probably rout pretty quickly. They go rout quite well. The other one's routed before he even come into contact with our troops there. So I say it looks like we've managed to go on and win the battle. I just want to pause the game for a second. Do you remember this is where we fought those Germania and SBQR troops there? That's where that Germania cavalry charged, and you can see all over the battlefield here. And over here is where our Macedonian ally was finally taken out by the enemy troops there. You can see a big pile of dead Macedonian troops there, as well as enemy troops there. Another battle there. And over there you can see, I think there's a big cavalry battle here between a Macedonian and SBQR cavalry there. That was a massive cavalry battle there. But here's where the main battle was fought here. You can see the big piles of dead that were there. You can see that whereas how intense the battle was. So as I say, our team looks like it's gone on to win the battle there. But I just want to show this battle to show you how Britannia has a balanced army. Remember, 9 infantry, 4 head hurlers and 6 chariots. See how well it can do on the battlefield in coordination with its allies there. I thought it was very effective the way Britannia played there. You know, as I say, in coordination with its allies. That's the other players just admitted defeat there. They say it's an average victory, but I would have thought it would have been more of a close victory, is what I was thinking there. Just like to draw your attention to the biggest kills in the game. Mad Kings, 20 Carthage Sacred Band units, 1,904. Nice kills for Carthage there, Mad King. Well done, Mad King. A nice 20 Spearman army. But I'd like to draw your attention to my 13 or 14-year-old Britannia army, my balanced Britannia army. 1,718. That's one of the highest Britannia kills I think I've seen. Well done to Bark, 1,664 kills. I don't think Steve got the kills he wanted there. With his Greek city army, very low compared to what he usually gets. And also Crypto's Germanic army there, not very good either, not what he would have expected. But what I like was the different factions: Britannia, Macedonians, Rome, Greek cities, Germania, Rome, Carthage and Rome. A really good, diverse selection of factions there, I thought, for this battle. But as I say, that Britannia army of mine, say maybe 13-year-olds or so, I thought 1,718 kills was pretty good for them. As I say, it's a very, very old army there, and I like to bring it to the modern day battlefield. Have a look at the battle statistics here. See my infantry, 1 infantry unit there that killed 141 enemy troops. And I was going up against elite Romans in Carthage, so that's not bad. Head hurlers not doing too bad, but look at the chariot kills. 208, 184, 121. 129, another 184. So that's what the chariots can do, on top of bringing a massive fear factor, making enemy troops extremely susceptible to routing. So I was very pleased. I'd just like to say really well played to Brotherhood member Crypto, JGP, Mad King, and RTW player Magic Star. Really well played, guys. I thought nice attacking, aggressive tactics by you to cut Dionysos off. And well played to Brotherhood member Dionysos, Bark, and Steve Longshanks. Well played, guys. It's Spartan Commander saying, hope you enjoyed the battle. See you soon. Bye for now.